Hello viewers, welcome to All4's e-learning classes. Now I am going to start my second session of 9th standard social studies second lesson, that is the natural realms of the earth. In my first session I have explained to you about 4 natural resources, natural realms. That is, the first one is lithosphere, second is hydrosphere, third is atmosphere, and fourth is biosphere. Actually, what are these realms? How do they derive? What are the characteristic features of these realms? We have discussed, I have explained to you in my first session. Next, after this, I have also explained about how the continents and the oceans have formed a massive base of rocks called as plates. And there are 7 plates in number, that is North America, South America, Africa, Eurasian, Indo-Australian, Antarctica and the Pacific plates. And these plates, they make out some movements. Now regarding that movements only I am going to explain my present second session. The topic is about the slow movements and sudden movements. My topic is for this session is slow movements and sudden movements. That is the plates, the 7 tectonic plates on which the oceans and continents were formed out. They are floating on the mantle, and moving very slowly. They are pushing each other, they are moving away from each other also. But the movement was so slow that we were unable to identify that movement. So that movements which the plates were making out very slowly without any destruction or damage, they were called as slow movements of the earth crust or lithosphere. Now we are going to discuss about the second movement of the lithosphere or the earth crust. That second movement it is sudden, very destructive, we can say damage, and in some ways it is also useful. That is sudden movements of the earth crust and the lithosphere called, they are volcanoes and earthquakes. You might have idea about this. Now first let me explain about these volcanoes. Right, volcanoes. Volcanoes, actually as we go, when we read about the Earth's interior in the first lesson, that is according to the scientists it is estimated that for every 32 degrees into interior of the Earth, 1 degree Celsius temperature is increasing. As we go deep into Earth's interior, the temperature will be 6000 degrees Celsius, that is the temperature will be very high. So all of you know that many varieties of rocks and minerals are present in the upper layers of our lithosphere or the crust. But as we go down, we will find some minerals, radioactive minerals like radium, uranium, thorium, plutonium, like that radioactive elements are present. The speciality of these radioactive minerals, that is they emit out the heat. They emit out so much heat. Already 6000 degrees Celsius temperature is present in the Earth's interior. Because of this overheat, no doubt rocks are the bad conductors of heat. But in spite of this also, because of that heat, continuous heat from the radioactive elements and also 6000 degrees Celsius, in the interior part of the Earth, the rocks started melting out. Some magma, semi-solid, semi-liquid form, they started forming out. That is, some molten rock material started accumulating around the rocks. That is called as magma. When it comes up, then only we have to call it as lava. So that molten rock material, when these solid rocks are converting into liquid form, huge amount of the water vapor and other gases will be released out. With that, this water vapor and other gases which are released out, when that rocks are transforming from solids to liquid, heavy pressure, high pressure will be exerted on the magma. Then what the magma will do? It will try to escape to the Earth's outer surface. Then it will try to find out the way from the fissures and from the faulty lines of the Earth, from where it can escape out. This process is called as volcanicity. So here these volcanic eruptions are of 2 types. First one is this type of volcanic mountain, single vent of volcano, you can say that. Volcano is nothing but an opening on the earth surface, an opening or vent on the earth surface through which cinder as some different types of the gases. Volcano is nothing but a vent or an opening on the earth's surface through which lava, cinder, ash, different types of the chemical substances, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, like that materials, and some minerals which are deep seated in the earth's interior, which will flow out, that is called as volcano. And they are of volcanic eruptions are of two types, that is central type of eruption and fissure type of eruption. Here in this type of eruption, central type of eruption, like this conical shaped mountain will be there. Conical shaped mountain will be there. In the earth's interior, this is the earth's interior place. Here magma was accumulated. Here the solid rocks turned into the liquid form and the pressure was exerted on the magma. Then magma is trying to find out the way from the gaps or fault lines of the earth. Then under such circumstances, that magma will find a way, a fault line on the earth's surface. Then it will start entering. This opening of the volcano is called as a vent. Then that molten rock material, it started flowing through a pipe. See, this is a pipe. This is a conical shaped mountain. This vent is opening on the earth's surface from which the magma will travel, enter into this pipe-like structure. Then it flows like this and it moves to at the top of this particular hill and it flows out. But this molten rock material, when it is flowing in this pipe, that is called as magma. When it is flowing in the pipe, it is called magma. When it flows out, then only it will be called as lava. It is called as lava. When it is flowing through this pipe, some of this magma will settle here itself in the earth's interior. Slowly it cools and solidifies and forms into rocks. They were called as intrusive landforms. Intrusive landforms they were called as. Then this magma, some of the magma will flow up to the crater bowl. This is called as crater bowl, and from here it emits out. Then only we will call it as lava. Then it results into the formation of extrusive landforms. How? Later I will explain to you. Okay. First let me say to you that in the earth's interior temperature will be 6000 degrees Celsius. Radioactive elements also seeds at that place, like radium, uranium. These radioactive elements emits out huge amount of heat. With this, what will happen? Some molten rock material will be accumulated in the deep interior. That is called as magma. When these solid rocks are turning into the liquids, huge amount of the water vapor and the gases will be released out. That water vapor and the gases will exert much pressure on the magma. Then magma will try to find out the way from where it can escape out. Then it will come out of the earth like this in this format. This is called as central type of eruption, and one more type of eruption also there. That is called as series type of eruption. Like this it will be. Series type of eruption will be there. That I will explain. Here in the central type of eruption, just a conical shaped hill will be there. And one opening will be there called as vent. From this opening, magma will enter into this pipe-like structure. So, when it is flowing in this pipe, it is called as magma. When it flows out of the crater bowl, this bowl, that is called lava. But when the magma is flowing in this pipe, some of the magma will settle here itself in the interior parts. It cools and form into rocks. They were called as intrusive landforms. And the lava, when it flows out, it is called as lava, and it forms extrusive landforms. These are of central type of eruption. And one more type of eruption of this volcanoes also there, like this series, one by one, like this. Openings will be there, like this it goes on. Like this, from here the vent will be there, they will come out. Just beneath the earth's surface only, the magma will be there. Wherever the magma will find fault lines on the earth's surface, in a series manner it will erupt very quickly and forms large, and it emits out large quantities of lava, and it flows in hundreds of kilometers of the area. And this lava, what happened? When it cools and solidifies, it forms into a new landform that is called as black soil will be formed. This is about the central type of, fissure type of eruption. Right. So for this we can take example of our India, that is a Deccan Plateau. We can take example for this. Deccan Plateau is the best example for this. And whereas for this type of, for this central type, we can take all these as example. Stromboli in Sicily, Vesuvius in Italy, Mount Fujiama in Japan, Barren and Narcondam Islands in India. We can take these as the, what is that, central type of eruption wave, volcanoes. Right, these are the two types I said now. Now I want to explain that actually how many volcanoes are there. More than 500 volcanoes are there. In that, maximum volcanoes are present in the oceanic floor only. Either it may be Mediterranean or Pacific like that. But in this again, out of this more than 500, 80% of these volcanoes are present in the Pacific Ocean only, in the area that surrounds the Pacific Ocean. That is called Circum-Pacific Ring Belt. Or more number of volcanoes are present in Pacific Ocean, no? It is also called as Pacific Ring of Fire. Pacific Ring of Fire. Why it is called? Because more than 80% of the world's volcanoes are present in the Pacific Ocean. That's why it is called as Pacific Ring of Fire. So, what are the destructions and benefits caused by these volcanoes if you look out? When this lava flows out, when this lava comes out, either from here or from here, when the lava flows out, you know it will be very hot in thousands of degrees Celsius temperature. With the temperature it evolves out, emits out from the earth's interior. It will be very hot, whatever will come in its way. When the lava is flowing like this, whatever will come in its way, it burns everything. It burns everything, whether trees or hill, whatever it may be, it burns everything. But after some years, when that lava cools, it solidifies and forms into black soil. In such a manner only black soil is present in our Deccan Plateau, especially Maharashtra, Gujarat area we can say that. And these black soils, they support for the cotton and oil seeds. They are useful also. This is one of the sudden movement. They cause damage, sudden change, new landforms will be formed. Here when the lava erupts out, automatically it leads to damage and destruction only. Right, but when the lava flows and afterwards when it cools and solidifies, it forms into black soil, no, which is suitable for cotton and oil seeds. So in that way it is leading to the formation of a new crust also. So sudden movements are both destructive and useful also. So in this one example volcanoes, I said we will deal with earthquakes in our later classes. Right, now the next side heading is external process. External process. Right, processes. Okay. Because of these sudden movements or because of the interior vibrations, we can see that how the mountains will rise, how the different formations will be formed out. You might have observed from your primary standards. That is, wind and water, it plays an important role in shaping out the landforms. Wind and water, very powerfully they will blow. That is, wind will move with a great speed and water will also move with a great speed. They will cut off the rocks, they will bring out the soil, they will take that material and they will dump in somewhere else. So this gradual wearing of the what is that crust form by the wind and water is called as the general leveling of the surface of the earth. With this, new landforms will be formed. The landforms that are formed by the wind and water process, they are called as the third order landforms. In my first session I said to you about the first order landforms, second order landforms, and now I am saying about the third order landform. First order landforms means the continents and oceans that were formed when the crust was formed out, they are called as first order landforms. And the next, when the interior molten rock material was cooling out, it started contracting the outer crust. With that, mountains, plains, plateaus were developed. They were called as second order landforms. Now what are these third order landforms? Means shaping of landforms by the wind and water. That is the landforms which were formed by the work of wind and water, they were called as third order landforms. What they were means? Valleys. Valleys means the V-shaped areas. The V-shaped areas which are present. These are valleys. The V-shaped areas which are present between the two hills. In our India, we can take example of Narmada Valley. Valleys are deltas. All of you know about the Sundarban Delta. Sundarban Delta, Ganga, when it flows into the Bay of Bengal at the mouth, some delta, triangular shaped delta will be formed. This is all because of the work of the wind and water. That is valleys, deltas, sand dunes. Sand dunes means hills of the sand, hills of the sand. We can find it in the desert. This is an exclusive work of the wind only. Because of the speed movement of the wind, what will happen? The sand from one place to another place, it will be eroded and it will be taken to some other place and it will be deposited there, dumped there. With this, what will happen? Slowly and steadily one hill will be formed out. Again, when the wind will move with a great speed, again that hill will not, we will not find that particular hill after 1 or 2 hours. Again it will be slopey only. Again in one more area, that hill of the sand will be formed. That is called as sand dune. Here what I mean to say is that wind and water, these natural resources, these natural forms also work hard in order to create new features on this earth surface. So that our land order forms which were formed because of the work of wind and water are called as third order landforms. And what are the example for this? If the question is asked, you have to write valleys and you have to write sand dunes and deltas, etc. This changing process is continuous. It is known as denudation process. It is a continuous process. Continuously there will be change on the hills, plains, plateaus, valleys, whatever it may be, always there will be a change in this process. Take for example, you might have observed about what we can say that a lake or pond in your village. When you are at very primary classes, you might have seen some lake or pond in your village. Now, because of this eroded soil, because of the wind and water, what happened, that might be filled with some soil. There you will not find any lake or pond. If you dig out that soil out from that, then again we will find lake or pond. That is, natural forces are playing an important role in shaping out the landforms. So this cycle is called as a geomorphic cycle. We call it as geomorphic cycle. It is a continuation. It is a continuation process. And how these changes will be brought means different processes are there. That is, they are, first one, weathering, and second is erosion, third one is transportation, and next one is deposition. Through these processes, different landforms, different crust forms are formed. First one, let me say about the weathering. Weathering is a process that is nothing but gradual disintegration of rocks into small pieces. Gradual disintegration of rocks into small pieces is called as weathering. How these rocks will be disintegrated? Again by the atmospheric forces. Either it may be wind or water. Gradual disintegration of the rocks by the atmosphere forces called as weathering. That is, when the big rocks will be there, what will happen? When they are exposed to high temperature, they will expand. We can't see with our naked eye. They will expand. And when the temperature is cool, again they will contract. Expand, contract. When the temperature will be high, they will expand. When the temperature is very cool, they will contract, come close. That is, it is not one day or one night process. It will be a continuous process of for many seasons. Either it may be summer, rainy or winter, either day or night. These rocks always expands and contracts, expands and contracts. Because of this continuation process, expansion and contraction, what will happen? The layers of that rock will become brittle, very weak, and within a short period of time, what will happen? Slowly cracks will develop on that. Cracks will develop on that mother rock, and with that cracks, when that rock, that stone is broken off, you can see that interior layers of the rock will be of different color, whereas outside layer will be of different color. Because outside one is exposed to sunlight, rainfall and everything, no? It will be pale, lightish in color. Whereas when you observe, when that the rock is or stone is cracked out, in the interior layers we will find very dark color. Okay, that mother rock will be cracked out. Then again after the cracking also, because of the work done by the wind and water, what will happen? Continuously the rock started contracting and expanding. It started brittling out and breaking into small pieces of the stone. Small stones it forms in. This process with which rocks are weakened and formed into small particles is called as weathering. Let me say once again, weathering is nothing but it is a process in which gradual disintegration of the rocks can be seen by the atmospheric forces, the wind and water, called as weathering. Here what will happen? The rocks, they will expand when the temperature is high and they will contract when the temperature is low. This expansion and contract process will take place continuously for many years. Then that rock will be broken off because it will become very weak. So this disintegration, this process of weakening of the rock and disintegration of the rock into small stones is called the process of weathering. That means big rock will be made out into small stone, gravels, pebbles, like that it will be made up. This is called as weathering. Next is about erosion. Erosion. In social, this is a common word, erosion. Erosion means, in easy words, let me say, the movement of the upper layer of the soil by the wind and water forces from one place to another place is called as erosion. The movement of upper layer of the soil by the natural forces, that is wind and water, from higher places to some other lower areas, called as erosion. Wind and water, they will move with a great speed. Wind will blow with a great speed. Water will flow with a great speed. In their movement, what this wind and water will do means, they will move the topmost layer of the soil from the higher layers. That is small stones, gravel, fine particles of the soil, everything they will carry out from one place to another place. This movement of the uppermost layer of the fertile soil, fertile area from one place to another place through wind and water is called as erosion. That is, the topmost layer will be taken from one place and it will be deposited one place. This transformation is called as erosion, and wind and water plays an important role in this movement of the soil and rock particles. In this way, that is, different types of the land crust will be formed. That is, with weathering, what is happening? Big rocks are transformed into small stones. They will be carried to some other area by the wind and water and they will be dumped and deposited somewhere else. With this erosion, what is happening? From the higher layers, the topmost layer will be eroded out and it will be dumped somewhere, no? Automatically, that basin area will fill up and it will also come up. So these changes are taking place because of what? Because of wind and water only. Now what is the third process? Means transportation. Transportation is nothing but these wind and air, water, what they will do? They will erode the, what we can say, gravel, small stones, very fertile soil. They will transport from one area, this eroded rock material, that eroded rock material, gravel, stones and the soil will be taken and it will be moved to somewhere. It will be carried out to some other place. That is the eroded material. Either it may be soil, either it may be rocks or thin gravel material or whatever it may be. That eroded material will be taken by the wind and water and it will be taken to some other place. This process is called as transportation. Take for example rivers. Rivers, they will flow from a great distance. Ganga, 2525 kilometers it flows in India. Right, then from Himalayas it starts, while it is flowing, along with it flow, what it will do? It will transport the pebble stone, gravel and the soil particles from one place to another place. No, that process is called as transportation. Bringing a material from one place to another place by wind and this water, that is called as transportation. Then last process is called as deposition. Deposition. Here what is deposition means? When the water and wind forces, when they become slow, they will deposit their carried material in some place. In some place they will deposit it. That process is called as deposition. Just now I said about river Ganga. No? This river Ganga, while it is coming from the Himalayas, first it will bring out some pebbles. Then afterwards it will carry along with rich alluvium soil, and that will be carried out. In the starting arena, the force of the water and wind will be more. It carries much amount of material, and that will be carried out slowly and steadily. After entering into Uttarakhand, it will flows like that only, then enters into Uttar Pradesh. From there onwards, what will happen? The Ganga started depositing that material. It started placing out that material. Do you know, because of this result only, in the northern part of India, a great plain, very fertile alluvium deposition was made out, that is called as Indo-Gangetic plain. Plains will be formed because of this. And these plains are very much important for the development of any country. Plains are formed. Before there was no plain. Do you know, at that Indo-Gangetic plain, that is Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Bengal, Bihar, in that area, actually there was a basin. Actually, when the continents were forming out, at that time there was a basin in the northern India. In the present Uttar Pradesh, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, north part of the Chhattisgarh area, a basin was there. And then when this Ganga and Indus river, Brahmaputra river started flowing into our country, these rivers, along with the flow, with the help of the wind, they started bringing pebbles, gravel, fine particles of soil along with them, and that was brought into our country, and that was deposited in that basin, and the basin was filled with this particular alluvium soil. And in that way, in the northern side of India, Indo-Gangetic plain was formed. So in this way, new spheres will be formed because of these natural forces. Let me brief the point that external process. The shaping of landforms by the wind and water are called as third order landforms. Example, valleys, sand dunes, and we can say that deltas. Deltas, you know, when the river is going to join in the sea, at that mouth only the triangular shaped landform will be formed. That is because of the process of water. Valleys will be formed because of water and wind. Sand dunes are formed because of wind. So they can be taken as best example because they are shaped by wind and water only. It is a denudation process, means it is continuous. Continuously the land masses are changing, they are making out changes. This cycle is called as erosion cycle or geomorphic cycle. How these changes are taking place means because of these four processes. First, weathering means disintegration of the rocks. Disintegration of rocks into small pieces by the natural process, atmospheric forces, that is wind and air, wind and water, called as weathering. With this, what will happen? Because of this wind and water influence on that particular rock, the rock contracts and expands when it cools and become hard. With this the rock will become brittle, that is it will become weak, and that weak rock will be cracked and formed into small pieces of stone. This gradual disintegration of the rocks into small stones is called as weathering. With this, what happens? Changes will occur. Again these small rocks will be, again they will be changed out. You might have observed very beautiful pebble stones nearby the shore of any sea or ocean or any bay. That is because of the continuously the water will hit that particular rocks. With that, what happens? They will become very fine furnished areas. Colorado Basin, and the very beautiful colors will be emitted out because of the water will pushes. Water will hit that particular rocks and beautiful colors will made out. You might have observed near the waterfalls also. That is a process. Next, erosion means the movement of the topmost layer of the soil by the natural forces, either wind or water, called as erosion. That is, from the topmost layer, what will happen from the upper layers, the topmost layer of the soil will be taken away, pushed away by the wind and water. It will be taken to some other place, low-lying area, and it will be deposited there. This transformation, this movement of uppermost layer of the soil by the wind and water is called erosion. So what change is taking place? The upper layer soil, the fertile layer is brought to somewhere area, some other area, and it is dumped in some other area. With that, the level of that particular low-lying area will increase, will raise, its altitude will increase. Then what is meant by transportation? It is nothing but the eroded material in the form of small rocks, gravel or rich soil. It will be taken from one place to another place. By what? Again by wind and water. This process is called as transportation. This process is called as transportation. Sometimes hundreds of kilometers also this material will be travelled by wind and water. Best example, rivers will carry such time. Right? Then the last one is deposition. It is nothing but when the rivers are flowing out or the wind is flowing out slowly and steadily, after some hundreds of kilometers, what will happen? It will slow down. That is, its process of the movement will slow down. With this, what will happen? When the movement will become slow, whatever the material carried out by these two natural forces, that is wind and water, it will be deposited in some area. That is called as deposition. And the best example for this is when the Indian plate was hitting out the Eurasian plate, when the Himalayan formation was taking place, they developed a deep basin in the northern part of India. It is present in Uttar Pradesh, Bengal, Bihar, Odisha areas. That was there at that time. So what happened? River Ganga, River Brahmaputra, River Indus, along with their flow, they brought out from hundreds of kilometers, they brought out fine pebbles, fine studded areas, fine gravel, fine alluvium soil. How the soil will be formed? You know, the rocks will be cracked out into small stones. Again, the small stones slowly and steadily, because of the wind and water forces, the small stones will be cracked out and formed into small fine particles of soil. That is, formation of the soil also done by the hard work of the nature for several centuries. It is not so easy process. So that fine alluvium soil which was present there because of water and the wind, that will be slowly carried out by River Ganga and also River Indus, and it will come slowly after entering into our Uttar Pradesh. It flows into the deep basin and that was deposited in that northern low-lying area. With the slowly and steadily it got accumulated in that particular basin, and that basin was filled up and formed into present day